The scent of lilies and nervous anticipation filled the air, a heady mix that usually calmed me. Not today. Today it felt like a suffocating blanket, pressing down on my chest, making each breath a conscious effort. My reflection stared back from the ornate mirror, a stranger in white lace and pearls. Luna, the bride. Luna, the woman about to marry Marcus, the kindest, most stable man I'd ever known. He was everything my chaotic past wasn't. He was safe. So why did safe feel so much like suffocating? My fingers, usually steady, trembled as I adjusted the delicate veil. Aunt Clara, bless her heart, had spent months on this dress, each stitch a testament to her unwavering love. She'd found me, a terrified, scrawny child, wandering the woods after the fire, after the screams, after the silence. She'd given me a home, a family, a human life. A life where the whispers of the wild, the dreams of silver eyes and the phantom ache of a forgotten howl were just that, dreams. Nightmares, more like. I'd buried that part of myself deep, beneath layers of normalcy, of human routine, of Marcus's gentle affection. Almost time, darling. Aunt Clara's voice, soft as velvet, pulled me back. Her eyes, warm and knowing, met mine in the mirror. Did she see it? The tremor that had nothing to do with pre-wedding jitters, and everything to do with the primal hum beneath my skin that had grown louder with each passing day? I forced a smile, a practiced facade. Just a little nervous. She patted my hand. Every bride is. Marcus is a good man, Luna. He'll make you happy. Happy. Yes. I would be happy. I had to be. This was my choice. My safe, predictable human choice. Yet a part of me, a wild, untamed part I'd tried to starve into submission, clawed at the edges of my composure. Lately, the dreams had intensified. Not just silver eyes, but a scent, rich earth, pine, and something else, something uniquely masculine and utterly captivating. A scent that promised both danger and belonging. It was the scent of a wolf. My wolf. The one I'd suppressed, denied, almost forgotten. I closed my eyes, trying to push the images away. The burning forest, the terrified whimpers, the overwhelming sense of loss. And then the silence. The silence that had followed me for years. A constant reminder of what I'd lost, what I'd escaped. My pack. My family. All gone. I was the last. A lone wolf, orphaned and adrift, until Aunt Clara found me. She didn't know about the wolf. No one did. And it had to stay that way. For their safety. For my sanity. Ready. Marcus's sister, Sarah, poked her head in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. He's waiting. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat. This was it. The final step into a life I'd carefully constructed, brick by human brick. I took a deep breath, trying to inhale calm, but all I got was the cloying sweetness of lilies and the faint, unsettling scent of something wild, something distant, yet undeniably present. It was a trick of my mind, a phantom scent from my dreams. It had to be. I picked up my bouquet, the white roses a stark contrast to the growing unease within me. My legs felt heavy, each step towards the door a monumental effort. The music swelled, a familiar melody that usually brought tears to my eyes. Today it felt like a dirge. I saw the aisle, a path stretching towards Marcus, towards my future. He stood there, handsome and earnest, his smile a beacon of reassurance. He was my anchor, my safe harbor. And yet, the hum beneath my skin vibrated with a discordant note, a warning. Just as I was about to step into the sunlight, a shadow fell over the threshold. A scent potent and raw slammed into me, stealing my breath. It wasn't a phantom. It was real. Pine, earth, and something else, something uniquely male, undeniably powerful, and utterly terrifyingly familiar. My wolf, dormant for so long, stirred, a low growl rumbling deep in my chest, threatening to break free. My eyes snapped open, scanning the doorway. And then I saw him. Tall, broad-shouldered, with eyes like molten silver that locked onto mine, burning with an ancient, undeniable claim. My world tilted on its axis. This wasn't a dream. This was real. And he was here. My mate. And he was crashing my wedding. The murmurs started almost immediately, a ripple through the assembled guests. Marcus, at the altar, frowned, his brow furrowing in confusion. He was oblivious, of course. To him, this was just an unexpected interruption, a rude guest perhaps. To me, it was the shattering of my carefully constructed reality. The man standing in the doorway wasn't just a man. He was a force of nature, a predator in human skin, and every fiber of my being, every suppressed instinct, screamed his name. Alpha. My Alpha. His gaze never left mine, a silver-hot brand that seared through my composure. He moved with an effortless grace that spoke of raw power, his steps silent on the marble floor. The wedding planner, a flustered woman named Brenda, tried to intercept him, a polite, bewildered smile on her face. "Sir, I'm afraid you're interrupting a private ceremony." He didn't even glance at her. His eyes, those piercing silver eyes, were still locked on mine, and a low, guttural sound, a growl that vibrated through the very foundations of the church, escaped his lips. It wasn't a human sound. It was the sound of a wolf, staking its claim. Brenda paled, stepping back as if struck. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, turning into whispers of fear and confusion. Marcus, finally sensing the shift in the atmosphere, stepped forward, his voice laced with polite annoyance. "Excuse me, do I know you?" "Kieran." His name echoed in my mind, a primal whisper from a part of me I'd long denied. "Kieran. The Alpha. My Alpha." He ignored Marcus, his focus unwavering. He was walking towards me now, each step deliberate, predatory. My breath hitched. My heart hammered, not with fear but with a terrifying, exhilarating recognition. This was it. The end of Luna, the human bride. The beginning of Luna, the wolf. He stopped directly in front of me, his scent enveloping me, intoxicating and overwhelming. It was the scent from my dreams, amplified 1,000-fold. Pine, earth, and him. Just him. His hand, large and calloused, reached out, not to touch me, but to cup my cheek, his thumb brushing over my skin, sending shivers down my spine. His eyes, so close now, held a fierce, ancient possessiveness. "Mine," he rumbled, his voice a low growl that only I seemed to hear, a sound that resonated deep within my bones, stirring my dormant wolf. "You are mine." Marcus finally reacted, his face flushing with anger. "What do you think you're doing? Get away from my fiancé." He grabbed Kieran's arm, but the Alpha didn't even flinch. He simply turned his head, his silver eyes flashing with a dangerous light that made Marcus recoil, a whimper escaping his lips. It was the sound of a human encountering something far beyond their comprehension. Something primal. Something terrifying. Kieran's gaze returned to me, softening infinitesimally, but the possessiveness remained. "You feel it, don't you, little wolf?" he whispered, his voice a silken caress that sent a jolt through me. "The bond. It's undeniable." I couldn't speak. My throat was tight, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and a terrifying, exhilarating clarity. The bond. Yes. I felt it. A pull, an ache, a sense of belonging that transcended logic, reason, and every human expectation I'd ever held. It was a connection that had been waiting patiently for me to acknowledge it. And now here he was crashing my wedding, shattering my world, and claiming me as his own. And a part of me, the wild, untamed part, rejoiced. This was not the perfect wedding day. This was something far more profound. This was destiny. And I was terrified and utterly irrevocably drawn to it. My human life was crumbling around me, and I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that there was no going back. The Alpha had arrived, and he had come for me. The question was, what would I do now? The world spun, a dizzying kaleidoscope of white lace, stunned faces, and the overwhelming presence of the man who had just uttered 2 words that irrevocably altered my universe. "You are mine." My breath hitched, caught somewhere between a gasp and a sob. Marcus, bless his naive human heart, was still sputtering, trying to assert some semblance of control over a situation that had spiraled wildly beyond his grasp. What is the meaning of this? Security. But no one moved. The guests, a mixture of human friends and distant relatives, were frozen, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination. They saw a powerful, intimidating man. I saw my destiny. The air crackled with an energy I hadn't felt since I was a child, before the fire, before the silence. It was the hum of a mate bond, thrumming deep in my veins, pulling me towards him with an irresistible force. Every instinct I had fought to suppress for years screamed at me to lean into his touch, to bury my face in his neck and inhale his intoxicating scent. Kieran's silver eyes, sharp and predatory, flickered to Marcus, a silent warning passing between them that left no room for doubt. Marcus visibly recoiled, his face paling. He was a good man, a kind man, but he was utterly out of his depth. This was a world he couldn't comprehend, a primal dance he couldn't join. And I, the woman he was about to marry, was inextricably part of it. "Luna." Kieran's voice was a low rumble, meant only for me, cutting through the stunned silence of the chapel. "Look at me." My gaze, which had been darting around, trying to find an escape from the intensity of the moment, snapped back to his. His eyes held a raw, untamed hunger, a possessiveness that both terrified and thrilled me. It was the look of a wolf who had finally found his missing piece. And I was that piece. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. All the dreams, the phantom sense, the suppressed instincts, they weren't just memories of a lost past. They were premonitions of a faded future. "You feel it," he repeated, his thumb still stroking my cheek, a feather-light touch that ignited a wildfire within me. The pull. The recognition. My lips parted, but no words came out. What could I say? Deny it? Lie? My body was betraying me, leaning into his touch, my wolf stirring, stretching, eager to acknowledge its mate. The scent of him filled my lungs, a potent mix of pine, damp earth, and something uniquely alpha. Power, dominance, and an underlying current of fierce protection. It was the scent of home, a home I hadn't known I was missing until this very moment. "This is madness," Marcus finally managed, his voice trembling. "Luna, who is this man?" Kieran's eyes hardened, a flash of irritation crossing his features. "She is my mate," he stated, his voice ringing with an authority that brooked no argument. "And she is coming with me." He didn't ask. He declared. He didn't suggest. He commanded. And a part of me, the part that had longed for someone strong enough to shoulder the burden of my hidden nature, thrilled at the raw power in his voice. But the human part, the part that had built a life with Marcus, that valued choice and autonomy, recoiled. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. I was supposed to walk down the aisle, say, "I do," and live a quiet human life. But the universe, or perhaps fate, had other plans. He took my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine, a perfect fit. The warmth that spread through my palm was immediate, electric, and utterly consuming. It was a connection that bypassed my mind and went straight to my soul. My wolf purred, a low, satisfied rumble. This was right. This was inevitable. But the human part of me still clung to the wreckage of my wedding day, to the shattered dreams of a normal life. How could I just leave? How could I explain any of this to Marcus, to Aunt Clara, to everyone who had come to celebrate my human happiness? Kieran tugged gently, and I found myself moving, almost against my will, towards the chapel doors. The guests parted, a silent, awestruck sea. Marcus made a move to follow, but Kieran's gaze, sharp and dangerous, stopped him cold. "Do not interfere," he warned, his voice low but laced with a primal threat. "She is mine." As we walked, I risked a glance back. Marcus stood alone at the altar, a picture of bewildered heartbreak. Aunt Clara was crying, her hand clasped over her mouth. My heart ached for them, for the life I was leaving behind. But the pull, the undeniable magnetic pull towards Kieran, was too strong to resist. I was being claimed, not just by a man, but by a destiny I had tried to outrun. And as we stepped out of the chapel, into the blinding sunlight, I knew my life would never be the same. The alpha had claimed his mate, and the world would never be the same. But what would happen now? What did this claim truly mean for me, for my hidden wolf, and for the life I was now forced to confront?
The scent hit me first, a jolt to my senses, cutting through the stale air of the human church like a lightning bolt. Lilies, yes, but beneath it, something else. Something ancient, wild, and utterly intoxicating. My mate. After centuries of searching, of feeling the hollow ache of her absence, she was here. Standing at the altar, about to bind herself to a weak, scentless human. The rage that surged through me was primal, overwhelming. Mine. She was mine. I moved, my wolf pushing against the confines of my human skin, demanding to be unleashed. The humans scattered, their pathetic whispers and gasps meaningless. My focus was singular, her. Luna. Her name, a whisper on the wind, a song in my blood. Her eyes, wide and startled, met mine, and the world snapped into focus. Silver to hazel. Recognition. It was there, in the depths of her gaze, the same shock and undeniable pull that slammed into me. She felt it. My little wolf felt the bond. "Sir, I'm afraid you're interrupting a private ceremony." A simpering human female, dressed in absurd ruffles, dared to step into my path. I ignored her, my gaze never leaving Luna. Her scent was stronger now, a heady mix of fear and something else, something that promised a wildness I craved. My wolf snarled, a low rumble in my chest. Mine. Every fiber of my being screamed it. Then the human male, her intended, stepped forward, his voice laced with an arrogance that grated on my nerves. "Excuse me, do I know you?" I barely registered him. He was an obstacle, a fleeting shadow in the path of my destiny. My mate was right there, vulnerable, confused, but undeniably mine. I reached for her, my hand cupping her cheek, feeling the soft warmth of her skin. The connection was electric, a current that flowed from my fingertips, through her, and back to me, solidifying the bond that had been forged long before either of us drew breath. "You are mine," I stated, the words a guttural declaration, a promise, a threat. It was not a question. It was a fact. My wolf was satisfied for now. But the human part of her, the part that had been raised in ignorance of her true nature, was still fighting. I saw it in her eyes, the flicker of fear, the hesitation. It was a challenge, one I would gladly meet. "This is madness," the human male sputtered, trying to assert his pathetic claim. I spared him a glance, a flash of silver in my eyes, a silent warning that sent him recoiling. He was nothing. A temporary distraction. Luna was everything. "You feel it, don't you, little wolf?" I whispered, my voice rough with emotion. The bond. It was undeniable. I could feel her wolf stirring, a hesitant, fragile thing, but present nonetheless. It was a miracle. I had almost given up hope. Centuries. I had waited centuries for her. I took her hand, her fingers small and delicate in mine, but strong. The fit was perfect, as if our hands were made to intertwine. I tugged gently, and she followed, a silent acknowledgement of the inevitable. The humans parted, their fear a palpable thing in the air. Let them fear. Let them understand that she was no longer theirs to claim. She was mine, and I would protect her with my last breath. As we walked out of the church, into the blinding sunlight, I felt a sense of profound rightness. The ache in my chest, the emptiness that had plagued me for so long, was finally beginning to recede. She was here. My mate. My Luna. The world outside the church was vibrant, alive, reflecting the wild joy that surged through me. But the battle was far from over. She was still human, still clinging to the remnants of a life that was no longer hers. I would have to teach her, show her, make her understand what it meant to be a wolf, to be my mate. And there were others. Those who would seek to harm her, to take her from me. Victor Thorne. He would pay. But for now she was safe. With me. And that was all that mattered. The claiming had begun, but the true journey, the awakening of her wolf, and the fight for our future had only just begun. What challenges awaited us beyond the threshold of this human world?
The world outside the chapel was a blur of frantic whispers and flashing cameras. Kieran's grip on my hand was firm, possessive, and utterly grounding amidst the chaos. He pulled me towards a sleek black SUV, its engine purring with a predatory readiness. I stumbled, my legs feeling like jelly, my mind still reeling from the abrupt shift in my reality. One moment, I was a bride. The next, I was being whisked away by a man who claimed me as his mate, a man whose very presence ignited a forgotten fire within me. As he opened the passenger door, his scent, that intoxicating mix of pine and earth, enveloped me, and something deep inside me stirred. It wasn't just a hum now, it was a growl, a low, insistent rumble that vibrated through my bones. My wolf. It was awake. It had been dormant for so long, a silent shadow, a painful memory. But now, in Kieran's presence, it stretched, yawned, and began to assert itself. It craved him, with an intensity that shocked my human sensibilities. "Get in," he commanded, his voice softer now, but still laced with that undeniable alpha authority. I slid into the luxurious leather seat, the scent of him clinging to the upholstery, wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. He slid into the driver's seat, and with a roar of the engine, we sped away, leaving behind the shattered remnants of my human life. The silence in the car was thick, charged with unspoken emotions. I risked a glance at him. His profile was sharp, regal, his jaw set in a determined line. He was beautiful in a dangerous, untamed way. And he was mine. The thought, so foreign just moments ago, now felt like an undeniable truth. But what did it mean? What did it mean to be claimed by an alpha, to have a mate bond that transcended all logic? Where are we going? I finally managed, my voice a shaky whisper. He turned his head, his silver eyes meeting mine, a hint of a predatory smile playing on his lips. "Home. To my pack. To your pack. My pack." The words sent a jolt through me, a mixture of longing and terror. The last time I had a pack, it had been ripped away from me, consumed by fire and blood. The memories, usually suppressed, now clawed at the edges of my mind. The screams, the burning trees, the scent of smoke and death, and then the overwhelming silence. I had been so small, so helpless. I had run instinctively until Aunt Clara found me, a lost feral child. I don't have a pack," I stammered, the lie feeling heavy on my tongue. "I'm human." Kieran's smile widened, a knowing glint in his eyes. "You are no more human than I am, Luna. Your wolf has been sleeping, but she is waking. I can feel her. She calls to mine." He reached across the console, his hand covering mine, his thumb stroking my knuckles. The touch sent a wave of heat through me, a delicious tremor that settled deep in my core. My wolf purred a low, satisfied rumble, eager for his touch, for his presence. "My pack, they were killed," I whispered, the words tearing at my throat. It was the first time I had spoken of it in years, the first time I had allowed myself to truly remember. The fire. The rogues. I was the only one who escaped. His grip tightened, his silver eyes darkening with a fierce protectiveness. "I know, little wolf. I know. I have been searching for you for a long time. You are a rare Omega moonblessed. Your bloodline is powerful, ancient. That is why Victor Thorn hunted your family. He seeks to control your power. Victor Thorn." The name sent a shiver of ice down my spine. He was the monster from my nightmares, the one who had orchestrated the destruction of my pack. He was real, and he was still out there. The realization was terrifying, but also empowering. I wasn't just a victim. I was a survivor, and I had a power, a bloodline, that Victor Thorn coveted. My wolf, now fully awake, bristled at the mention of his name, a low growl escaping my lips. I was no longer just Luna, the human bride. I was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, and I had a mate, an alpha, who would protect me. But could I truly embrace this new identity, this dangerous, exhilarating destiny? And what would Victor Thorn do when he discovered I was alive and claimed by an alpha?
Her confession, whispered and raw, was a knife to my gut. My pack, they were killed. The fire. The rogues. I was the only one who escaped. The words were a confirmation of what I had suspected, what I had hunted for centuries. The last of the moon-blessed Omegas. My Luna. The ache in my chest intensified, not from sadness, but from a fierce, burning protectiveness. Victor Thorn. The bastard. He would pay for every life he had taken, for every moment of fear he had inflicted upon my mate. I tightened my grip on her hand, a silent promise. "I know, little wolf. I know. I have been searching for you for a long time. You are a rare Omega, moon-blessed. Your bloodline is powerful, ancient. That is why Victor Thorn hunted your family. He seeks to control your power." I watched her closely, saw the flicker of fear, then the dawning realization, and finally, a spark of defiance in her eyes. Good. My Luna was strong. She had survived. She would thrive. Her wolf, still hesitant, but undeniably present, responded to the mention of Thorn's name. A low growl, a sound of primal anger, escaped her lips. It was music to my ears. Her wolf was waking, shedding the layers of human suppression. This was what I had waited for. This was what she was meant to be. My mate. My Luna. A powerful Omega, destined to stand by my side. We drove in silence for a while, the hum of the engine a counterpoint to the thrumming of our mate bond. I felt her presence beside me, a warmth, a light that had been missing from my life for so long. The world outside the car, the human world, faded into insignificance. All that mattered was her. Her safety. Her awakening. Her acceptance of her true self. I glanced at her again. She was looking out the window, her expression thoughtful. I knew the struggle she faced. The human life she had built, the family she loved, the normalcy she craved. It was a powerful pull. But the call of the wolf, the undeniable truth of the mate bond, was stronger. It had to be. For her sake. For our pack's sake. For the future of our kind. "It will be different now, Luna," I said, my voice low, reassuring. "You are safe with me. With our pack. No one will ever hurt you again." She turned to me, her eyes still holding a hint of uncertainty, but also a growing trust. "Our pack? Yes. Our pack. You are my mate. That makes you Luna of the Crescent Moon Pack. They will accept you. They will protect you." I saw the questions in her eyes, the doubts. It would take time, but I had centuries. I would wait. I would teach her. I would show her the beauty and strength of her true nature. As we neared the borders of my territory, the air shifted, growing wilder, more alive. The scent of my pack, a familiar comfort, filled the air. But then another scent, faint but unmistakable, cut through it. Rogue. And not just any rogue. Thorn. My wolf bristled, a low growl rumbling in my chest. He was here, on my territory, and he was coming for her. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching, my hand instinctively going to the weapon concealed beneath my seat. The fight was coming, sooner than I expected, and my Luna, my newly awakened Omega, was right beside me. Could I protect her from the monster who had already taken so much from her? The answer had to be yes. But the sudden, jarring halt of the car, and the scent of blood on the wind, left me with a chilling certainty. We were not alone. And the battle for Luna's future, and her very life, was about to begin. What would she do when faced with the darkness of her past?
The screech of tires, the sudden lurch of the SUV, and then the scent. Blood. And something else, something acrid and metallic that clawed at my throat. Rogue. The word echoed in my mind, a primal warning. Kieran's hand, still gripping mine, tightened, his knuckles white. His silver eyes, usually so intense, were now narrowed, scanning the dense forest that surrounded us. The air, which had moments ago been filled with the comforting scent of pine and earth, was now tainted with a foul odor, a stench of malice and decay. "Stay in the car," he commanded, his voice a low growl, his wolf clearly on edge. He reached under his seat, pulling out a wicked-looking hunting knife, its blade glinting in the dappled sunlight. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat. This was it. The danger I had always known lurked in the shadows, the monster from my past was finally here. Victor Thorne. Before I could respond, a dark shape launched itself from the trees, slamming into the driver's side door with a sickening thud. The window spiderwebbed and a snarl, inhuman and vicious, filled the air. Kieran moved with lightning speed, throwing open his door, rolling out of the vehicle, and engaging the attacker in a blur of motion. I caught a glimpse of a hulking, distorted figure, too large to be human, too feral to be anything but a rogue wolf. My wolf, now fully awake and roaring, surged within me, demanding action. My human instincts screamed for me to cower, to hide, to be safe. But the primal part of me, the moon-blessed Omega, refused. Kieran was out there, fighting, protecting me. I couldn't just sit here. I had to help. I fumbled with the door handle, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline, and burst out of the SUV. The scene before me was chaos. 2 more rogues had emerged from the treeline, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Kieran, a whirlwind of muscle and fury, was holding his own against the first attacker, his knife a silver streak in the sunlight. But he was outnumbered. My gaze swept over the scene, searching for a way to help. My eyes landed on a fallen branch, thick and heavy. Not much, but it was something. As I lunged for the branch, one of the rogues, a gaunt, scarred male, turned his attention to me. A predatory grin stretched across his face, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Well, what do we have here? The little Omega, out in the open. His voice was a rasp, filled with a chilling amusement. He lunged, his claws extended, aiming for my throat. Time seemed to slow. I saw his attack, felt the cold dread, but something else stirred within me. A warmth starting in my core, spreading outwards, tingling through my fingertips. My vision sharpened, the colors of the forest intensifying. I saw the rogue's movements, anticipated his attack. Instinct took over. I didn't think, I reacted. As his claws neared, I thrust my hand forward, not with the branch, but with an invisible force. A wave of shimmering, silver energy erupted from my palm, slamming into the rogue with explosive force. He cried out, a guttural shriek of pain, and was thrown backward, slamming into a tree with a sickening crack. He lay there, unmoving. My breath hitched. What was that? My power. It was real. And it was terrifying. And exhilarating. Kieran, who had just dispatched his attacker with a swift, brutal strike, turned, his silver eyes wide with shock and something akin to awe. "Luna," he breathed, his voice laced with disbelief. But there was no time for explanations. The third rogue, seeing his companion fall, roared in fury and charged, his eyes fixed on me. This time, I didn't hesitate. I focused the energy, feeling it surge through me, a raw, untamed power. I met his charge, a defiant roar tearing from my own throat, and unleashed another wave of silver light. He too was thrown back, landing with a thud, his body convulsing. He wouldn't be getting up. Kieran was beside me in an instant, his arms wrapping around me, pulling me close. His scent, now mixed with the metallic tang of blood and the lingering scent of rogue, was still comforting. You did that," he murmured, his voice filled with a mixture of pride and concern. "Your healing power. It's manifesting as a defensive force. My power. The moon-blessed Omega. It wasn't just about healing. It was about protection. And it had just saved my life, and perhaps Kieran's too. But the fight wasn't over. The silence that followed the skirmish was unnerving, too quiet. Kieran's wolf was still on high alert, his gaze sweeping the treeline. "They're gone for now," he growled, his voice tight. "But they'll be back. Thorne won't give up. We need to get you to the Packlands. Now." He pulled me towards the SUV, but the driver's side was mangled, the engine smoking. "We can't use this," I said, my voice still a little shaky. He nodded, his jaw set. "Then we run." He shifted, his body rippling, bones cracking for sprouting, until he stood before me, a magnificent, powerful black wolf, his silver eyes still holding that fierce protectiveness. He nudged me with his nose, a silent command. My wolf responded, eager to run, eager to be free. But the lingering scent of thorn and the knowledge that he was still out there made me wonder. How long could we run before he found us again? And what other powers lay dormant within me, waiting to be unleashed?
The scent of rogue hit me first, sharp and acrid, cutting through the familiar comfort of my territory's edge. Thorn. The bastard was bolder than I'd anticipated, attacking so close to the border. My wolf surged, a hot wave of fury. He dared to come for my mate on my land. I slammed on the brakes, the SUV skidding to a halt, my hand already reaching for the hunting knife. "Stay in the car," I growled at Luna, my voice rough with the primal need to protect. She was still so fragile, so new to this world. I wouldn't risk her. But then the first rogue hit, a hulking mass of muscle and malice, slamming into the driver's side. The glass spiderwebbed, and a feral snarl filled the air. I rolled out, knife already in hand, engaging him in a brutal dance of tooth and steel. He was strong, but sloppy, fueled by rage and the scent of a moon-blessed omega. My blade found its mark, a swift, clean strike, and he fell gurgling. Then the others emerged, 2 more shadows from the trees. My focus was split, my wolf howling for me to protect Luna, even as I fought. But then I saw it. The scarred rogue, a known enforcer for Thorn, lunging for her. My heart seized. I moved, but I was too far, too engaged with the second attacker. A roar of frustration tore from my throat, and then a flash of silver. Not my knife, but something else. A shimmering wave of pure energy, erupting from Luna's hand, slamming into the rogue with impossible force. He shrieked, a sound of pure agony, and was flung backward, a broken puppet against the tree. My jaw dropped. Her healing power. It wasn't just healing. It was a weapon, a defensive force. She had unleashed it, instinctively, without training, without even knowing what it was. "Luna?" I breathed, my voice thick with awe and disbelief. My mate. My little Omega. She was more powerful than I had ever dared to imagine. The third rogue charged, a mindless beast, and again the silver light. He too fell, convulsing, defeated. She had done it. She had taken down 2 rogues single-handedly, with a power she didn't even know she possessed. I was at her side in an instant, pulling her into my arms, inhaling her scent, a mix of fear and triumph and something new, something potent and wild. You did that," I murmured, my voice still laced with wonder. "Your healing power. It's manifesting as a defensive force." She looked up at me, her eyes wide, a mixture of terror and exhilaration. "What was that?" "Your birthright, little wolf. Your power. The moon-blessed Omega." I kissed her forehead, a fierce, possessive gesture. She was truly extraordinary. But the moment of triumph was fleeting. The silence that followed was too heavy, too unnatural. Thorn wouldn't send just 3 rogues. This was a probing attack, a test. He knew she was here. He knew I had found her. My wolf was on high alert, every sense screaming danger. The scent of Thorn, faint but unmistakable, lingered on the wind. He was close. Too close. I scanned the treeline, my eyes narrowed. "They're gone for now," I growled, my voice tight. "But they'll be back. Thorn won't give up. We need to get you to the Packlands. Now." I pulled her towards the SUV, but the damage was extensive. The engine smoked, the driver's side mangled. "We can't use this," she said, her voice still a little shaky. I nodded, my jaw set. "Then we run." There was no other choice. We were exposed. I shifted, the familiar tearing of muscle and bone, the first sprouting, the world sharpening into a symphony of scents and sounds. My magnificent black wolf stood before her, my silver eyes fixed on her, a silent command. "Run. With me. To safety." She hesitated for a moment, then nodded, a spark of determination in her eyes. My wolf nudged her, a gentle but firm push. She was still human, still vulnerable, but she was learning. She was adapting. We had to move. Now. The forest was no longer a sanctuary, it was a hunting ground. And we were the prey. But Thorn would soon learn that his prey had teeth, and a mate who would tear him apart for daring to touch what was mine. The chase was on, and the true test of Luna's awakening, and our bond, was about to begin. Could we outrun the shadows of her past, or would they consume us both before we reached the safety of my pack?
The forest was a blur of green and brown, the ground a shifting tapestry of roots and leaves beneath my feet. Running alongside Kieran, his powerful black form a constant, reassuring presence, was unlike anything I had ever experienced. My human lungs burned, but my wolf, now fully awake and reveling in the freedom, urged me onward. The fear of Thorn was a cold knot in my stomach, but the exhilaration of the chase, the raw, primal connection to Kieran, was a potent antidote. He ran with an effortless grace, his muscles rippling beneath his sleek fur. Occasionally he would slow, nudging me with his nose, a silent question in his silver eyes. I would nod, pushing past the pain, determined not to be a burden. My power, the silver light, still hummed beneath my skin, a constant reminder of what I was, what I could do. It was terrifying, yes, but also a source of burgeoning strength. Hours later, as dusk began to paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, the scent of pine and damp earth intensified, but this time it was different. It was layered with other scents, familiar, comforting, and undeniably wolf. We were nearing his pack lands. My pack lands. The thought sent a shiver of anticipation down my spine. We broke through the treeline into a clearing, and my breath hitched. Before us lay a hidden valley, nestled between towering peaks. Smoke curled from stone chimneys, and the warm glow of lights spilled from rustic, yet sturdy cabins. Wolves, in both human and shifted forms, moved about, their movements fluid and purposeful. Children played, their laughter echoing through the valley. It was a community, vibrant and alive. It was everything I had lost. Kieran shifted back, his clothes appearing as if from nowhere, his powerful body now clad in worn jeans and a dark t-shirt. He was still magnificent, his silver eyes fixed on me, a soft smile on his lips. "Welcome home, Luna." My eyes welled up. Home. The word felt foreign, yet so right. But the moment of peace was short-lived. As we walked towards the main lodge, heads turned. Whispers followed us. The scent of suspicion, of curiosity, of challenge, hung heavy in the air. I was an outsider, a human-raised Omega, and the mate of their Alpha. It was clear I would have to earn my place. Inside the lodge, a large, communal space with a roaring fireplace, the pack elders awaited us. Their faces were etched with age and wisdom, their eyes sharp and assessing. Kieran introduced me, his voice firm, leaving no room for doubt. "This is Luna, my mate. She is the moon-blessed Omega, and she will be Luna of this pack." A ripple of murmurs went through the room. Some nodded, their eyes filled with respect. Others, particularly a stern-faced woman with a braid of silver hair, regarded me with open skepticism. "She smells human, Alpha," she stated, her voice sharp, her gaze piercing. "And she carries the scent of the rogue who destroyed her family." My heart sank. The past, it seemed, would always cling to me. Kieran stepped forward, placing a protective hand on my back. "She is my mate, Elder Maeve. And her power, as you saw, is undeniable." He didn't elaborate on my display of power, but the elders exchanged knowing glances. They had heard the reports, then. My secret was out. Elder Maeve's gaze softened slightly, but the skepticism remained. "Her power is a gift, Alpha. But a gift can be a burden. She has much to learn." Kieran nodded, his eyes meeting mine, a silent promise passing between us. "She will learn, and I will teach her." The next few days were a whirlwind of new experiences. I learned about pack hierarchy, about the intricate web of loyalties and traditions. I learned to identify the different scents of the pack members, to recognize their moods, their intentions. I learned that being an Alpha's mate wasn't just about love. It was about responsibility, about leadership, about protecting the pack. Kieran was a patient, yet demanding teacher. He spent hours with me, explaining the nuances of pack life, the history of our kind, the ancient prophecies surrounding the moon-blessed Omegas. He taught me how to control my wolf, how to channel my power, how to listen to the whispers of the forest. And in those moments, alone with him, the tension between us was palpable. Every touch, every glance, every shared breath was charged with an unspoken desire. He was possessive, yes, but also incredibly gentle, his strength a comforting presence. My wolf yearned for him, for the complete claiming, for the final surrender. But the human part of me, still clinging to a semblance of control, resisted. I was learning to be a wolf, but I was still Luna. And I needed to choose this life, not just be swept into it. The forced proximity was both a blessing and a curse, pushing me closer to him, yet highlighting the last vestiges of my human resistance. How long could I deny the inevitable, when every fiber of my being screamed for his touch, for his claim? And what would it take for me to fully embrace my destiny as his mate, and as Luna of the Crescent Moon Pack?
Running with Luna was a revelation. Her human body struggled, but her wolf, newly awakened, pushed her forward, a fierce, untamed spirit. I felt her exhaustion, but also her exhilaration, a wild joy that mirrored my own. She was adapting, faster than I'd dared to hope. My mate, my Luna. Every stride brought us closer to the safety of my pack lands, and with it, the promise of her full awakening. As we broke into the valley, the familiar scent of my pack filled the air, a comforting balm after the tension of the chase. But it was her reaction that truly captivated me. Her eyes, wide with wonder, took in the sight of our home, our people. I saw the longing there, the ache for belonging, for a family she had lost. "Welcome home, Luna," I murmured, the words a promise, a vow. This was her place now. With me. With us. But the pack, while loyal, was also wary. They sensed the human in her, the lingering scent of a life she had yet to fully shed. Elder Maeve, ever the traditionalist, voiced their concerns. "She smells human, Alpha, and she carries the scent of the rogue who destroyed her family." I felt the prickle of irritation, but I understood. Their skepticism was born of protection, of a desire to safeguard our way of life. I placed a hand on Luna's back, a silent claim, a defiant gesture. "She is my mate, Elder Maeve, and her power, as you saw, is undeniable." Maeve's gaze softened, a grudging acceptance in her eyes. "Her power is a gift, Alpha, but a gift can be a burden. She has much to learn." I nodded. She was right. Luna had much to learn, but she was a quick study, and I would be her teacher. Every lesson, every shared moment, brought us closer, deepening the bond that already thrummed between us. The days that followed were a delicate dance of teaching and testing. I showed her the rhythms of pack life, the subtle cues, the unspoken rules. I taught her about our history, our traditions, the ancient prophecies that spoke of a moon-blessed Omega, a rare and powerful wolf destined to unite our kind. She absorbed it all, her mind sharp, her spirit eager. But beneath the surface, the tension between us simmered, a constant, undeniable pull. Every touch, every shared glance, was charged with a hunger that grew more insistent with each passing moment. Her human resistance was still there, a thin veil over the wildness I knew lay beneath. She questioned, she challenged, she pushed back. And I, the Alpha, found myself relishing it. It was a testament to her strength, to the fierce independence that made her my perfect mate. But my wolf, ever impatient, craved the full claiming, the complete surrender. I saw the desire in her eyes, the way her breath hitched when I was near, the way her body leaned into mine. She wanted it. She just needed to admit it. To herself. To me. One evening, as I was showing her the ancient hunting grounds, the moon, full and luminous, cast long shadows across the forest floor. Her scent, usually a subtle undertone, was now potent, intoxicating, amplified by the lunar pull. Her eyes, usually hazel, shimmered with a silver light, mirroring my own. She was beautiful, breathtakingly so, her human form barely containing the power that pulsed beneath her skin. "Kieran," she whispered, her voice husky, her gaze locked on mine. The air crackled between us, thick with unspoken desire. I stepped closer, my hand reaching out, cupping her cheek. Her skin was warm, soft, and beneath it, I felt the rapid beat of her heart. My thumb stroked her jawline, tracing the delicate curve. Her eyes fluttered closed, a soft sigh escaping her lips. "Mine," I growled, the word a primal declaration, a promise of what was to come. I leaned in, my lips brushing hers, a spark igniting a wildfire within me. She tasted of wild berries and moonlight, of everything I had ever craved. Her hands fisted in my shirt, pulling me closer, her body molding against mine. The kiss deepened, a desperate, hungry claiming. This was not just desire, it was destiny. It was the culmination of centuries of waiting, of searching. But as our bodies pressed together, a sudden, sharp pain lanced through my mind, a distant echo of a familiar presence. Thorn. He was closer than I thought. And he was not alone. The claiming would have to wait. The fight was coming, and I would not let him take her from me. Not now. Not ever. What new danger lurked in the shadows, threatening to tear us apart just as our bond was solidifying?
The sharp pain that lanced through Kieran's mind, a distant echo of Thorn's presence, shattered the fragile intimacy of our kiss. He pulled back, his silver eyes clouded with a familiar intensity, his jaw tight. The moment, so potent and full of promise, evaporated, replaced by the chilling reality of the threat that still loomed over us. My wolf, which had been purring contentedly, now bristled, sensing the renewed danger. "Thorn," he growled, the name a curse on his lips. "He's close. Too close." My heart hammered against my ribs. The monster from my past, the one who had haunted my nightmares for so long, was not just a memory. He was a tangible, immediate threat. And he was here on Kieran's territory, hunting me. The realization sent a shiver of dread down my spine, but also a surge of defiant anger. I was no longer the helpless child who had fled in terror. I had a pack now. I had Kieran, and I had a power I was only just beginning to understand. What does he want with me? I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Why my family? Kieran's gaze softened, a flicker of pain in his eyes. He led me to a moss-covered log, and we sat, the ancient trees of the forest standing silent witness around us. Your bloodline, Luna, is one of the oldest and most powerful among our kind. The moon-blessed Omegas. You possess a unique gift, a connection to the very essence of the moon's magic. Your family were not just healers, they were conduits, able to channel and amplify lunar energy. That silver light you unleashed, that was just a fraction of your true potential. My mind reeled. A conduit? Lunar energy? It sounded like something out of a fairy tale, not my life. But the power I had felt, the raw, untamed force that had erupted from me, was undeniably real. But why me? Why my family? Thorn believes that by controlling a moon-blessed Omega, he can harness that power for himself. He seeks to become the ultimate alpha, to dominate all packs, to bend the very will of the moon to his command. Your family resisted him. They fought to protect their knowledge, their power, and their lineage. They died for it. His voice was low, laced with a grief that wasn't his own, but a shared burden. And you? I asked, a new question forming in my mind. How do you know all this? Why have you been searching for me? He sighed, a deep, weary sound. My pack, the Crescent Moon Pack, has been the sworn protectors of the moon-blessed Omegas for centuries. It is our sacred duty. When your family was attacked, I felt it. A ripple in the ancient magic, a disturbance in the bond that connects our lines. I searched for years, following every faint trace, every whisper of your existence. I knew you were out there, somewhere. I just didn't know where, or if you had survived. His eyes met mine, filled with an intensity that stole my breath. I have waited for you, Luna. For centuries, my wolf has known there was a missing piece, a mate destined to complete me. When I saw you standing at that altar, about to marry another, my wolf roared. It was an undeniable truth. You are my destiny, and I will not let Thorn take you from me. Not after all this time. His words, so raw and honest, pierced through my remaining defenses. The human part of me, the part that craved safety and normalcy, withered under the weight of his ancient devotion. This wasn't just about a mate bond, it was about a legacy, a sacred duty, a love that transcended time itself. He had searched for me, waited for me for centuries, and now he was here, ready to fight for me. I reached out, my hand covering his, my fingers intertwining. The connection was immediate, profound. It wasn't just physical, it was a soul-deep recognition. My wolf purred, a contented rumble, finally understanding the depth of this bond. The fear of Thorn was still present, a dark cloud on the horizon, but it was overshadowed by the burgeoning warmth of love, of belonging, of being truly seen for the first time. I was not just Luna, the orphaned human. I was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, the last of my line, and the fated mate of an alpha who had waited centuries for me. But the peace was fleeting. A twig snapped in the distance, too loud, too close. Kieran's head snapped up, his senses on high alert. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of multiple rogues. Thorn was not just close, he was here. And he had brought an army. Could our newfound bond withstand the coming storm, or would the truth of my past be the very thing that destroyed us?
The jolt of Thorn's presence, a cold, sharp intrusion in my mind, was a stark reminder that our fragile peace was an illusion. I pulled back from Luna, the taste of her still on my lips, the scent of her intoxicating my senses. My wolf snarled, a low, guttural warning. He was here, the bastard, and he was coming for what was mine. Thorn, I growled, the name a bitter taste in my mouth. My instincts screamed for battle, for the primal satisfaction of tearing him limb from limb. But Luna, she was still so new to this, so vulnerable. I had to protect her, even from the full force of my own rage. She asked, her voice steady, despite the tremor in her hands, "What does he want with me? Why my family?" I saw the fear in her eyes, but also a burgeoning strength, a defiance that made my wolf preen with pride. She was a survivor. She had always been. I led her to a moss-covered log, needing to ground her, to explain the ancient truth that bound us. Your bloodline, Luna, is one of the oldest and most powerful among our kind, the moon-blessed Omegas. You possess a unique gift, a connection to the very essence of the moon's magic. Your family were not just healers, they were conduits, able to channel and amplify lunar energy. That silver light you unleashed, that was just a fraction of your true potential. I watched her face, saw the disbelief, then the dawning comprehension. It was a lot to take in, but she was absorbing it, processing it. My Luna was intelligent and strong. But why me? Why my family? She pressed, her gaze unwavering. I sighed, the weight of centuries of history settling on my shoulders. Thorn believes that by controlling a moon-blessed Omega, he can harness that power for himself. He seeks to become the ultimate alpha, to dominate all packs, to bend the very will of the moon to his command. Your family resisted him. They fought to protect their knowledge, their power, and their lineage. They died for it. The words were a heavy burden, a reminder of the sacrifices made, of the darkness that still threatened us. Then she asked the question that had been burning in her eyes. And you? How do you know all this? Why have you been searching for me? I met her gaze, pouring all my truth, all my devotion into my answer. My pack, the Crescent Moon Pack, has been the sworn protectors of the moon-blessed Omegas for centuries. It is our sacred duty. When your family was attacked, I felt it. A ripple in the ancient magic, a disturbance in the bond that connects our lines. I searched for years, following every faint trace, every whisper of your existence. I knew you were out there somewhere. I just didn't know where, or if you had survived. I reached for her hand, intertwining our fingers, the warmth of her skin a comfort against the cold dread of Thorn's proximity. I have waited for you, Luna. For centuries, my wolf has known there was a missing piece, a mate destined to complete me. When I saw you, standing at that altar, about to marry another, my wolf roared. It was an undeniable truth. You are my destiny, and I will not let Thorn take you from me. Not after all this time. Her touch, her acceptance, was a balm to my ancient soul. I felt the shift in her, the subtle surrender, the deepening of our bond. She was beginning to understand, to truly feel the depth of what we shared. The fear of Thorn was still a shadow, but now it was overshadowed by the fierce, protective love that surged through me. She was mine, and I would burn the world down before I let anyone take her. But the peace was fleeting. A twig snapped, too loud, too close. My head snapped up, every sense on high alert. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of multiple rogues. Not just Thorn, but his entire pack. He had brought an army. He was here, and he was coming for her. I pulled Luna behind me, my body a shield, my wolf roaring its challenge. The forest, once a sanctuary, was now a battlefield. The final confrontation was upon us. Could our bond, so newly forged, withstand the onslaught of a century-old enemy, or would the truth of her past, and the power it held, be the very thing that destroyed us both?
The snap of the twig, the sudden shift in Kieran's demeanor, sent a jolt of ice through my veins. Thorn. He was here, and he had brought an army. The realization was a cold, hard slap, shattering the fragile peace we had found in the forest. Kieran pulled me behind him, his body a solid, protective shield, his wolf roaring its challenge. My own wolf, still new to this raw, primal world, trembled, but it was a tremor of anticipation, not fear. This was it, the moment of truth. "Stay behind me, Luna," Kieran commanded, his voice a low growl, his eyes scanning the treeline. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of multiple rogues, a foul metallic odor that made my stomach churn. I gripped his arm, my knuckles white. I wouldn't be a burden. Not now. Not ever again. Then a voice, smooth and sickeningly familiar, cut through the tension. "Luna? Luna, are you there? Marcus. My human fiancé." My heart lurched. He was here. How? Why? My mind raced, trying to reconcile the two worlds that were about to collide. The human life I had carefully constructed, and the wild, dangerous destiny that had claimed me. This was the choice. And it was being forced upon me here, now, in the heart of the forest, with a rogue army closing in. Kieran's body stiffened. "He's a human," he snarled, his wolf recognizing the weakness, the vulnerability. "He shouldn't be here." "I know," I whispered, my gaze fixed on the direction of Marcus's voice. "But he's here for me. He thinks he's rescuing me." The irony was almost laughable. He thought he was saving me from a monster, when in reality, he was walking straight into a den of them. Suddenly, Marcus burst through the trees, his face etched with worry, his eyes wide with fear as he took in the scene. He saw Kieran, a powerful, intimidating figure, and then he saw me clinging to him. His eyes narrowed, a flicker of betrayal in their depths. "Luna, what is going on? Who is this man? Are you all right?" Before I could answer, a rogue, larger and more aggressive than the others, lunged from the shadows, aiming for Marcus. Kieran moved, a blur of motion, intercepting the attack, his body slamming into the rogue. The sounds of battle erupted around us, snarls and growls, the clash of claws and teeth. My power, the silver light, surged within me, eager to be unleashed. I was no longer just a bystander. "Luna, come on. We need to go," Marcus yelled, his voice frantic, oblivious to the true danger. He reached for me, his hand outstretched. 2 worlds. 2 choices. My human past, safe and predictable, and my wild, untamed future, dangerous and exhilarating. My gaze flickered between Marcus, who represented everything I had tried to be, and Kieran, who represented everything I truly was. Kieran, fighting fiercely, his silver eyes briefly met mine, a silent plea, a desperate hope. He was fighting for me, for us, for our future. He had waited centuries. He had found me. He had claimed me. And now, he was risking his life to protect me. My wolf howled, a silent affirmation. There was no choice. There was only destiny. I turned to Marcus, my heart aching for the pain I was about to inflict. "Marcus, I can't. This isn't your world. You need to go. Now." His face crumpled, confusion warring with hurt. "What are you talking about, Luna? I love you. I came for you." "I know," I whispered, tears blurring my vision. "And I'm sorry. But this is where I belong. This is who I am." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "Go, Marcus. Please. Before it's too late." He hesitated, then, seeing the raw determination in my eyes, and perhaps sensing the true danger that surrounded us, he turned and fled, disappearing back into the trees. A pang of guilt, sharp and swift, pierced me. But it was quickly replaced by a surge of resolve. My choice was made. My fate was sealed. And it was with Kieran. I turned back to the battle, my eyes blazing. My power surged, a silver tide, ready to be unleashed. I was no longer just Luna, the human bride. I was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, the fated mate of an alpha, and I would fight for my pack, for my mate, for my future. The rogues were closing in, their snarls echoing through the forest. But I was ready. I was more than ready. I was home. But the battle was far from over, and the true test of my power and our bond was yet to come. Could I truly embrace my destiny and stand strong against the darkness that threatened to consume us?
The scent of rogues was a suffocating blanket, pressing in from all sides. Thorn. He was here, and he had brought his entire twisted pack. My wolf snarled, a low, guttural warning. I pulled Luna behind me, my body a shield, my senses hyper-alert. This was it. The confrontation I had known was coming, but hoped to delay. I would tear them apart before they laid a single claw on her. "Stay behind me, Luna," I commanded, my voice rough with the primal need to protect. She was still so new, so fragile, but her grip on my arm was firm, her presence a steadying force. She wouldn't be a burden. Not my Luna. Then a voice. Human. Pathetic. "Luna? Luna, are you there?" My wolf bristled. The human fiancé. He dared to intrude on this. He dared to come for what was mine. My jaw tightened. He was a liability, a weakness in the face of the coming storm. "He's a human," I snarled, my contempt clear. "He shouldn't be here." "I know," she whispered, her gaze fixed on the direction of his voice. "But he's here for me. He thinks he's rescuing me." I saw the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between the life she had known and the destiny that now claimed her. This was her choice, and it had to be made now. Marcus burst through the trees, his human fear a pungent scent in the air. He saw me, then he saw Luna, and his face contorted with confusion and betrayal. "Luna, what is going on? Who is this man? Are you all right?" His voice was a grating whine, utterly out of place in the raw, primal tension of the forest. Before I could respond, a rogue, Thorn's largest enforcer, lunged for the human. My wolf reacted instinctively, slamming into the rogue, diverting the attack. The sounds of battle erupted, a symphony of snarls, growls, and the sickening thud of bodies colliding. My focus was split, half on the fight, half on Luna. She had to choose. "Now. Luna. Come on. We need to go," the human yelled, his voice frantic, oblivious to the true nature of the threat. He reached for her, his hand outstretched, a pathetic attempt to reclaim what was never truly his. My gaze met Luna's, a silent plea, a desperate hope. I had waited centuries. I had found her. I had claimed her. And now she had to choose. I saw the struggle in her eyes, the flicker of her human past, the life she had built. But then something shifted. A hardening of her gaze, a tightening of her jaw. Resolve. My wolf surged with triumph. She was choosing. She was choosing us. She turned to Marcus, her voice soft but firm. Marcus, I can't. This isn't your world. You need to go. Now. I felt a pang of something akin to pity for the human, but it was quickly overshadowed by the fierce pride that swelled in my chest. She was cutting ties. She was embracing her true self. His face crumpled, but he hesitated, then turned and fled, disappearing back into the trees. Good. One less distraction. One less vulnerability. My Luna was making her choice, and it was the right one. She turned back to me, her eyes blazing with a newfound determination. Her power, the silver light, pulsed around her, a visible aura of strength. She was no longer just Luna, the human bride. She was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, my fated mate, and she was ready to fight. The rogues were closing in, their numbers overwhelming. But with Luna by my side, with her power unleashed, we were a force to be reckoned with. The battle was upon us, and I would fight with every fiber of my being to protect her, to protect our future. The choice had been made. Now it was time for war. Would our combined strength be enough to overcome Thorn's darkness, or would this forest become our grave?
The forest erupted into a symphony of snarls, howls, and the sickening thud of bodies colliding. Rogues, their eyes burning with a feral hunger, poured from the treeline, a tide of darkness threatening to engulf us. But I was no longer afraid. The choice had been made. My human past, my carefully constructed normalcy, had crumbled, and in its place a fierce, untamed power had risen. I was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, and I would fight. Kieran, a magnificent black wolf, stood beside me, a living embodiment of raw power and protective fury. He moved with a deadly grace, tearing through the rogue ranks, his fangs flashing, his claws ripping. Our pack, alerted by Kieran's silent call, arrived, a wave of loyal, powerful wolves, their howls echoing through the forest, a defiant challenge to Thorn's invading force. The battle was joined. I stood my ground, my senses heightened, my body humming with a vibrant energy. The silver light, my power, pulsed around me, a protective aura. A rogue lunged, his eyes fixed on me, but before he could reach me, a wave of shimmering energy erupted from my hands, slamming into him with concussive force. He was thrown back, his body spasming, then lay still. It wasn't just a defensive force anymore, it was a weapon, precise and potent. Another rogue, larger and more aggressive, charged, his snarl a promise of pain. I met his gaze, my own eyes blazing with a newfound ferocity. I focused, drawing on the lunar energy that flowed through me, feeling it coalesce in my palms. This time I didn't just push, I pulled. The rogue screamed a high-pitched shriek as the energy ripped through him, leaving him a withered husk. My power wasn't just about healing or defense, it was about life and death. It was about balance. And Thorn had disrupted that balance. Kieran was always near, a dark shadow of protection, his presence a constant reassurance. We fought as one, a seamless dance of Alpha and Omega. He would engage, distracting the rogues, creating openings, and I would unleash my power, a silver streak of destruction. We were a force, a partnership forged in fire and blood. The pack, seeing my power, seeing their alpha's unwavering trust in me, fought with renewed vigor. Their initial skepticism had vanished, replaced by a fierce loyalty. I was their Luna, and I was fighting for them. Then a figure emerged from the chaos, taller, broader, his eyes burning with a cold, malevolent light. Victor Thorn. His scent, a sickening mix of ambition and decay, filled the air. He moved with a chilling precision, cutting down any wolf who dared to stand in his way. He was coming for me, and I was ready. Luna, Kieran growled, his voice a low warning, his body tensing. Stay back. He's mine. But I shook my head. No, he's ours. This was my fight too. He had taken everything from me once. He wouldn't again. I stepped forward, my silver light flaring, meeting Thorn's gaze with a defiant challenge. He sneered, a cruel twist of his lips. The little Omega, finally embracing her power. A pity it will be wasted on you. He lunged, a blur of dark fur and razor claws. Kieran met him, a clash of titans, their snarls echoing through the forest. I watched, waiting for my moment, feeling the lunar energy surge within me, building. Thorn was powerful, but he was arrogant. He underestimated me. He underestimated us. As Kieran pinned Thorn, a momentary opening, I seized it. I unleashed everything, a torrent of pure, unadulterated lunar energy, a silver beam that slammed into Thorn, engulfing him in a blinding light. He screamed, a sound of pure agony, his body writhing, disintegrating under the force of my power. When the light faded, only a charred husk remained, a testament to the destructive power of a moon-blessed Omega. The forest fell silent, the rogues, leaderless and terrified, scattering into the shadows. The battle was over. We had won. Kieran shifted back, his body bruised but triumphant, his silver eyes filled with a profound pride. He pulled me into his arms, holding me close, his scent a comforting balm. The pack howled, a chorus of victory, their voices filled with acceptance, with reverence. I was their Luna. I was his mate. And together, we had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. But the fight had taken its toll, and the path to true peace, and the full acceptance of my new role, still lay ahead. What would the dawn bring for the Crescent Moon Pack, and for their newly claimed Luna?
The forest became a maelstrom of tooth and claw, a symphony of battle cries and the sickening thud of bodies. Thorn's rogues, a tide of darkness, poured from the treeline, their eyes burning with a feral hunger. But my wolf, a beast of pure, unadulterated fury, met them head-on. Luna. She was my anchor, my reason for fighting, and the source of a power I was only just beginning to comprehend. I would not let them touch her. My pack, a loyal, disciplined force, arrived, their howls a defiant roar that echoed through the trees. We were outnumbered, but we were united. We were fighting for our home, for our future, for our Luna. I moved through the chaos, a black blur, my fangs tearing, my claws ripping, every strike aimed at protecting Luna, at clearing a path for her power. She stood her ground, a beacon of silver light amidst the darkness. I watched, awestruck, as she unleashed her power. The first rogue, a hulking brute, was thrown back by a wave of shimmering energy, his body broken. Then another, larger, more aggressive, charged, and she met him with a force that withered him to dust. My mate, my Luna. She was more powerful than any moon-blessed Omega in recorded history. Her power wasn't just defensive, it was destructive. It was the embodiment of balance, capable of both healing and annihilation. We fought as one, a seamless dance of Alpha and Omega. I would engage, drawing their attention, creating openings, and she would strike, a silver streak of pure energy. The pack, seeing her power, seeing the undeniable truth of her strength, fought with renewed ferocity. Their initial skepticism had vanished, replaced by a fierce, unwavering loyalty. She was their Luna, and they would die for her. Then he emerged. Thorn. His scent, a vile mix of ambition and decay, filled the air, making my wolf snarl with primal hatred. He moved with a chilling precision, cutting down my wolves, his eyes fixed on Luna. He was coming for her, and I would meet him. Luna, I growled, my voice a low warning, my body tensing. Stay back. He's mine. I wanted to tear him apart, to avenge the centuries of pain he had inflicted, the lives he had taken. But she shook her head, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. No, he's ours. My wolf swelled with pride. She was not just my mate, she was my partner. My equal. He lunged, a blur of dark fur and razor claws. I met him, a clash of titans, our snarls echoing through the forest. He was strong, fueled by a twisted ambition, but I was fueled by love, by a fierce, protective rage. We traded blows, each strike a testament to our ancient rivalry. I saw an opening, a momentary lapse in his guard, and I pinned him, my fangs bared, ready to end him. Then the silver light, a blinding torrent of pure lunar energy, unleashed by Luna, slammed into Thorn, engulfing him in a searing inferno. He screamed, a sound of pure, unadulterated agony, his body writhing, disintegrating under the force of her power. He was gone, reduced to ash. The forest fell silent, the rogues, leaderless and terrified, scattering into the shadows, their will broken. The battle was over. We had won. I shifted back, my body bruised but triumphant, my silver eyes fixed on her. She stood there, bathed in the fading silver light, her chest heaving, her eyes wide with the aftermath of her power. I pulled her into my arms, holding her close, inhaling her scent, a mix of triumph and the lingering tang of ozone. The pack howled, a chorus of victory, their voices filled with acceptance, with reverence. She was their Luna. She was my mate. And together, we had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The threat was eliminated, but the true journey, the rebuilding, the healing, and the full acceptance of her new role was just beginning. What would the dawn bring for the Crescent Moon Pack and for their newly claimed Luna?
The silence that followed Thorn's demise was deafening, a stark contrast to the cacophony of battle that had just raged. The air, once thick with the scent of blood and fear, now carried the faint, sweet aroma of pine and damp earth, a scent of renewal. Kieran held me close, his body a warm, solid anchor, his heart thrumming against my ear. The pack, bruised but victorious, gathered around us, their eyes filled with a mixture of awe and reverence. I was their Luna. I was his mate. And together, we had faced the darkness and emerged into the dawn. The days that followed were a blur of healing and rebuilding. The rogues had been driven off, their threat neutralized. The pack mourned their fallen but celebrated their victory, their spirits renewed by the strength of their alpha and the power of their Luna. I spent my time learning, truly learning, what it meant to be a moon-blessed Omega. Elder Maeve, her initial skepticism replaced by a quiet respect, became my mentor, guiding me through the ancient rituals, teaching me to harness and control the vast lunar energy that flowed through me. I learned to heal not just physical wounds, but the emotional scars left by the battle. I learned to communicate with the pack, not just through words, but through the subtle nuances of scent and shared emotion. My wolf, once a suppressed whisper, was now a vibrant, integral part of me. It reveled in the freedom, in the connection to Kieran, in the acceptance of the pack. I ran with them, shifted with them, felt the primal joy of the hunt, the camaraderie of the chase. I was no longer just Luna, the human. I was Luna, the wolf, the Omega, the mate. The mating ceremony was held under the full moon, a sacred ritual steeped in centuries of tradition. The entire pack gathered, their eyes shining with anticipation. Kieran, in his human form, stood before me, his silver eyes burning with a love so profound it stole my breath. He was magnificent, powerful, and utterly mine. I wore a simple white gown, adorned with silver embroidery, a symbol of my connection to the moon. My heart swelled with a joy so immense it threatened to burst. He took my hands, his touch sending shivers of pure bliss through me. "Luna," he began, his voice a low rumble that resonated deep within my soul. "With this bond, I claim you as my mate, my Luna, my life. I promise to protect you, to cherish you, to honor you, and to lead our pack with you by my side, for all eternity." "Kieran," I responded, my voice clear and strong, my wolf purring with contentment. "With this bond, I claim you as my mate, my alpha, my heart. I promise to stand by you, to support you, to love you, and to guide our pack with you for all eternity." Then the claiming bite, a sharp, exhilarating pain on my neck, followed by a rush of warmth of pure, unadulterated connection. Our wolves howled in unison, a joyous declaration that echoed through the valley, under the watchful eye of the full moon. We were one, Alpha and Omega, mate and mate. Our bond was complete. Later, as the pack celebrated, I saw Marcus. He stood at the edge of the clearing, a solitary figure, his gaze fixed on me. I walked towards him, my heart filled with a bittersweet ache. He had been a good man, a safe harbor, but he was not my destiny. "Marcus," I said, my voice soft. "I'm sorry." He nodded, a sad smile on his face. "I understand, Luna. I truly do. I saw what you are, what he is. I could never have given you that. Be happy." He turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows, a chapter of my life closing gently, respectfully. There was no bitterness, only acceptance. He had found his peace, and I had found mine. I returned to Kieran, who pulled me into his arms, his scent enveloping me, a scent of home, of belonging, of forever. My life had been a journey of denial, of fear, of searching for a place to belong. Now I had found it. I was Luna, the moon-blessed Omega, the mate of the Alpha of the Crescent Moon Pack. My past was behind me, my future stretched out before me, filled with love, power, and the promise of an eternity with my mate. The moon shone brightly overhead, illuminating our path, a silent blessing on our new beginning. And as I looked at Kieran, my Alpha, my love, I knew, with every fiber of my being, that I was finally truly home. This was our happily ever after, a testament to a love that defied expectations and embraced the wild, untamed heart of a wolf. The journey had been long, but the destination was worth every step. And this was just the beginning. The pack was strong, our bond unbreakable, and our future, under the benevolent gaze of the moon, was limitless. What adventures awaited us as Alpha and Luna in the years to come?
The silence after Thorn's demise was a balm to my wolf, a deep, satisfying quiet that settled over the forest. He was gone, reduced to ash by Luna's power. My mate, my Luna. She was magnificent, terrifying, and utterly mine. I pulled her close, inhaling her scent, a mix of triumph and the lingering tang of ozone. The pack, battered but unbroken, howled their victory, their voices filled with a newfound reverence for their Luna. The days that followed were a period of healing and consolidation. The rogues, leaderless and broken, scattered, their threat extinguished. My pack, resilient and strong, began to mend, their spirits lifted by Luna's presence, by the undeniable proof of her power. I watched her, my heart swelling with pride, as she embraced her role. She learned from Elder Maeve, her mind sharp, her spirit eager. She healed the wounded, not just with her touch, but with her unwavering compassion. She communicated with the pack, her understanding growing with each passing day. She was born for this, born to be our Luna. My wolf, which had yearned for her for centuries, was finally at peace. She was here, by my side, fully awakened. She ran with the pack, a blur of white fur, her laughter echoing through the trees. She was free, and she was mine. The mating ceremony was a sacred event, a culmination of centuries of waiting, of searching. Under the full moon, with the entire pack as our witnesses, I stood before her, my heart overflowing. She was breathtaking, radiant in her white gown, her eyes shining with a love that mirrored my own. This was not just a ceremony, it was a promise, a vow, a sealing of our destiny. Luna, I began, my voice thick with emotion, with this bond, I claim you as my mate, my Luna, my life. I promise to protect you, to cherish you, to honor you, and to lead our pack with you by my side, for all eternity. The words were ancient, but their meaning was fresh, vibrant, alive. Kieran, she responded, her voice clear and strong, her wolf purring with contentment. With this bond, I claim you as my mate, my alpha, my heart. I promise to stand by you, to support you, to love you, and to guide our pack with you for all eternity. Then the claiming bite, a sharp, exhilarating pain on her neck, followed by a rush of pure, unadulterated connection. Our wolves howled, a joyous declaration that echoed through the valley, under the watchful eye of the full moon. We were one, Alpha and Omega, mate and mate. Our bond was complete, unbreakable. Later, as the pack celebrated, I saw the human. Marcus. He stood at the edge of the clearing, a solitary figure, his gaze fixed on Luna. I felt a flicker of possessiveness, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of quiet triumph. He had lost. I had won. Luna walked towards him, her movements graceful, confident. I watched, my wolf content, as she offered him closure, a gentle farewell to a life that was no longer hers. He left, a shadow disappearing into the night, and I felt no regret. He was not her destiny. I was. She returned to me, her eyes filled with a love that took my breath away. I pulled her into my arms, holding her close, inhaling her scent, a scent of home, of belonging, of forever. My life, once a lonely vigil, was now complete. I had found my mate, my Luna, the missing piece of my soul. We had faced the darkness, and we had emerged stronger together. The pack was strong, our bond unbreakable, and our future, under the benevolent gaze of the moon, was limitless. This was our happily ever after, a testament to a love that defied expectations and embraced the wild, untamed heart of a wolf. The journey had been long, but the destination was worth every step. And this was just the beginning. What adventures awaited us as Alpha and Luna in the years to come?